right, this lesson also has to do with pronouns, and in this case, though, we're not just dealing with which pronoun to choose in which case, we're dealing with pronoun agreement with its antecedent, and also with agreement between subjects and verbs. So, an antecedent is a noun to which a pronoun refers. A pronoun has to agree in number and gender with its antecedent. So these are the sentences as examples of agreement between the pronoun and its antecedent. So here's the pronoun, her. Jane called her friend, and that pronoun refers back to Jane. So it agrees because they're both singular, and Jane is the singular feminine. This is a singular pronoun that's masculine as well, and it agrees with John. And then this pronoun there agrees with girls. It's plural and neutral, actually. And this is an interesting topic to bring up because in the old way of looking at things, we need to consider that the singular pronouns have to agree with the singular antecedents have to agree with singular pronouns, and plural antecedents would agree with plural pronouns. But we are often now seeing that the words they and their are being used for people who are agender. So this is a new thing in our language. It's changing all the time, and it's the commonly accepted term is to use they or their to refer to somebody who is agender. Now here are the kind of older ways of doing it. We would say a student who wants to pass should do all of their homework. That was considered incorrect always, but now it could be acceptable if the student was agender to say their. But in this case, what we're probably looking at is somebody who is his or her, and a student who wants to pass should do all of his or her homework would have been accepted as the way that it should be said, because student is singular and his and her are both singular, while their is plural. So students agreeing with their, in this case, is generally the way that it has been done. All right, we also have to remember singular antecedents are all of these here. So if we have any kind of antecedent that includes one of these words, anyone, anybody, anything, everyone, everybody, everything, someone, somebody, something, or no one, nobody, and nothing, and also either and neither, all of those are singular, so they're supposed to agree with singular pronouns. This is kind of a tricky thing to remember because we do this incorrectly all the time in our speech. All right, so we have some singular indefinite pronouns, and then we have some plural indefinite pronouns listed here. If we had the word and, we would also have a compound subject. That would be plural. So all of these pronouns on the left-hand side are supposed to have singular subjects, and all the ones on the right-hand side are plural. These words, it depends. All, any, most, none, and some. That could be singular or plural. If I say all of the cake, that's going to be singular. But if I say all of the marbles, that's going to be plural. So I'd have to choose a single subject in some cases and a plural in other cases. So we also need to have subjects agree with their verbs. So confusion comes from not knowing what the subject of the sentence is. Often what happens is that we have a modifier that's mistaken for the subject, and sometimes the singular indefinite pronouns mentioned before are treated as plural. So we often have this situation: neither of the students brought their pencils. Now this is the correct way to say it is his or her in this case, because we're talking about neither being the subject of the sentence, not students. A lot of times people will think that students is the subject. So neither is singular, and so is either, and so is anyone and anybody and anything. So if I said, have all of the students brought their pencils, that would be fine. But in this case, has either student brought, then I'm supposed to say his or her pencil. Now, in the second example, each of the ninjas have swords. Each is actually the subject of this sentence, not ninjas. So it's supposed to be each of the ninjas has a sword. All right, so to ensure subject-verb agreement, select the correct subject that agrees with the verb. Don't get confused by the additional words, such as modifiers that come between the subject and the verb. You also have to decide whether the subject is singular or plural. A regular plural verb has no S, while the noun has an S, and a singular verb does have an S. So, you say the cat jumps, or the cats jump. You'll notice here that you either are going to attach an S to the subject or to the verb, but not both. You're not going to say the cats jumps. All right, and that's how we determine how to make subjects agree with verbs and pronouns agree with their antecedents.